Talking Fence People, and this is my beloved wife and the other half of Talking Fence People, the beautiful Rachel Strauss. And together, we're here to stream today. We're going to do poker, then painting, which means we're going to go to the other house to paint after I'm done playing this poker tournament. But I'm currently number 1 out of 110 in this poker tournament, and it's a progressive knockout tournament. So, who knows? Maybe I could win enough money in this poker tournament to bother transferring it to my bank. I figure if I could win like $1,000, it'd be worth it to transfer to the bank. Let me see now what's going on here in the chat by bringing it up on the big screen where we can all enjoy each other's wonderful company. Where we can all enjoy. Okay. Put on the live chat.
I'll go with you to the other house, but I'll just chill.
That's fine, sure. Hi, Jonathan Earl. Did we feel anything way up here? Feel anything about what? Was there an earthquake or something? I didn't even know. So the answer is no, we didn't feel anything. What you're talking about. The other context could be like, did you feel anything when you took those drugs? In which case, I don't know what drug you're talking about, so therefore no, I guess. Was there an earthquake? Let me see. Let me look at the Ganoogle, the Ganoos. Oh, 5.2 earthquake near San Diego. That's not very big. That's tiny. That's tiny sauce. Nobody ever got any big damage in a 5.2 earthquake. Might knock some shit off shelves, but that's about it. Maybe we could knock some ladies into my lap. Hey, girl. Oh, who's this? Who's this beautiful lady over here? Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Porter. You don't know anything about personal space, do you?
He's over. Porter, were you? Hey, you stay out of this. This is between me and the lady. You got a dust on me there.
Thank you, but
Porter, you are sexually harassing my wife.
yeah, he really was.
Have I ever experienced anti-Semitism? No, not that I know of. I'm not Jewish, and I'm not accustomed to being mistaken for Jewish. I've had a few people on the stream occasionally ask me if I am, but other than that, no, I don't have that experience. I do know that my parents would sometimes receive mail intended for Jewish people, like, because the name Strauss is sometimes Jewish, I guess. I don't know. I remember my debate partner in high school was very anti-Semitic, though. He was from Germany. He was German, and he spoke English as a second language, He was but the weird thing is his best friend was Jewish, too, and he had this weird conflicted relationship with him. I don't know. It all seemed very strange to me because I never experienced anti-Semitism in my house or among my friends or anything. Nobody ever talked about Jewish people one way or the other.
Well, I guess maybe I'm basically pro-choice and you're pro-life.
I mean, I'm not, but
Oh, okay.
I'm of the position that the issue can't be resolved determinedly because it can't be resolved by rights for a variety of reasons, rights calculus, and accordingly, the only possible calculus you can use is non-normative, which is prescriptive, in which case.
That was different.
I'm not exactly pro-choice either, but I'm less pro-choice than you probably.
Yeah, I mean, I have a conflicting relationship with it too because I think it's only morally right up until a point, which you said
Right, a day before birth is not okay. Do I think there's any inherent issue in among the Jews that caused them to be persecuted? No, I don't. Except for the fact that anytime you have a fairly insular community, that and I suspect that Jewish communities in Europe, especially, were insular because they weren't Christian, and Christianity was the dominant religion. But insularity tends to breed some resentment, especially if the insular group is successful. You see it with Chinese people in America as well. They're an insular community that's successful. Rachel, the badass caterpillar hunter. Is that who she is? I didn't know that.
I don't know either. It scared me once, the one by the bathroom. But I keep on thinking, I'm hoping.
Oh, I think Rocky's talking about the giant caterpillar. Yeah, that thing. I think it was the pupa of Mothman. I agree. I don't speak any Mandarin except for little teeny bits like ni hao, and I can say shui chong lu, hong chao lu, which is where I would go get the taxi drop me off at my apartment in Shanghai. I lived in Shanghai. I didn't live in Taiwan. I just stayed there for a couple of weeks.
We did see it.
But I lived in Shanghai for a while. I didn't learn much Chinese. Why we see fewer female politicians in Western democracies? Well, I don't know. Probably a lot of different reasons. I think that women leaders have an additional challenge in providing leadership to men who aren't necessarily responsive to female leadership. That might be one reason. Damn, looks like she's gonna possess your vessel and make you crawl the ceiling. Rachel does? But you can possess my vessel anytime. CJ.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. It seems like an insult, but I can't exactly tell. Let's see, what do these guys have? I'll just put them all in. Hopefully they don't have aces, Because I got kings. Oh, Jesus. That hurt. His 6-7 beat my kings. Well, now I'm in 36 of 113th place. That's a lot worse than I was. Is there any female politicians, since they are not in power, they will not handle the power? I mean, we've had female politicians in power in the West before. For example, Margaret Thatcher was a perfectly competent prime minister for Britain. If anything, people would have accused her of being too masculine in her conservatism and too little compassion, contrary to stereotypes.
Wasn't Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
She's a judge. It's a little different.
But
Judges aren't elected. Okay, I just go on. Call it or don't. Doesn't matter to me. Okay, there. Moving up. 22nd place of 113 now. Getting some decent cards here. So, yeah, I'm going to play this poker tournament as for as long as I can, or if I bust out, when I bust out, then we'll transition over to the other house. I think I win. Yes, good. I knocked him out too. Excellent. Now I'm at number 6 of 112. Good. Why did the USA media portray Mexican people as foreign migrants and looting the resources? I don't think the media portrays them as such. I think that's one half of the culture war, right? Or one part of the, not even half of the culture war. It's like it's like half of the culture war. It is true that Trump is profoundly anti-immigrant and especially anti-Mexican for reasons I don't think anybody really understands. But I don't think the media plays into that. I think you have multiple voices in the media, including mine, that voice different perspectives on these things.
Yeah.
Some specific media outlets have a bigger voice than others. I have a fairly low reach in terms of my voice because I have a smaller audience than say Fox News or CSNBC. But the point is, I do qualify as part of American media in general, and what I say about politics is all correct and rational and reasonable, and the discourse is not culture war based, and etc. So
Nice. It's true.
caterpillar pillars. I don't know what caterpillar pillars are. Are they caterpillars who drink beer? Oh, I see. Would you love to burn and play a few songs made up on the fly? That would be great, Rockley. Where do you live? Do you live in California? If you do, then you live in the same state as us, and you could come visit us if you wanted to. We have to talk first on video conference, but
Yeah.
I've got a 5 o'clock typing session today. I need to keep remembering about that.
It's only 11:15 in the morning.
Was Armenia the first Christian country? I don't know. I'm no expert on Armenia or the history of Christianity.
Me neither.
I'm an expert on certain things, but not those things. You know, sometimes people say, always be the learner, never the expert. Well, the fact is, sometimes you are the expert in certain things, and you should be the expert then. And not pretend to lack expertise that you actually have. Being an expert doesn't mean you're unable to learn anymore. It just means that you're much more well qualified to teach about the thing. And that when you're in a disagreement with somebody about the thing, you're probably right and they're probably wrong. Because you are more knowledgeable about it. So pretty straightforward stuff, actually. I think there is no such thing as the theory of evolution. There's this set of genetics based research that purports to operate under the name evolution, presumably to explain the origin and variety of species, but fails to provide a meaningful mechanism by which that occurs and is therefore not a real explanation. In other words, it's complete bullshit. It doesn't explain anything. We do not know where species came from. We have no idea. We have no explanation that validates. We only have explanations that are falsified, like sexual reproduction and the survival of the fittest being something that promotes more complexity and change has been falsified. All the evolutionary forces are back to the genomic mean. So I think that we don't know where species come from, and we shouldn't pretend like we have an explanation when we don't. And, you know, when you start applying evolution to things like psychology, you get completely absurd nonsense like Jordan Peterson's kind of lobster garbage. So that's what I think of it. Are there any counter theories? No, there aren't any good counter theories. Forget about theory. Are there any good alternative explanations? The answer is no. There are not any good alternative explanations. Because an explanation would provide a mechanism by which species differentiate from one another or come about in some fashion, right? All right, I won that. Knocked another guy out. Now I'm number 6 of 108. That's pretty good. So sometimes we just have the correct answer is we don't know. When it comes to species, speciation, etc., we don't know how they came about. We can discount the idea that one species somehow evolved into two by branching off into separate directions. That's not how speciation comes about. I mean, there's inherent contradictions just in no matter how we define species, it needs to be the thing that doesn't change, right? Individuals within the species might express different expressions of the same genomic signature, but to be a species, they must continue to give birth to other examples of the same species by mating with other examples of the same species. That's what defines it. If they give birth to something that's not quite the same species, then they've mated with something that's not the same species, and you end up with something like a liger. So that is the correct position on evolution, is that there is no good explanation for where species come from, and people are lying to themselves when they think they have an explanation, because if they did, it would make sense and be able to explain things. There wouldn't be these myriad sets of questions for which evolutionary biologists have no answer. Things like, why don't organisms with shorter lifespans evolve more quickly than things with longer lifespans or reproductive cycles? Why is it that after 75,000 generations of fruit fly experiments, they still can't create anything that's not a fruit fly, some variant of a fruit fly? What do I think about the future of the Palestinian people? I don't know. That's a predictive question. I'm not very interested in making predictions. We're not as interested in making predictions unless I see them as mechanistically uh, dictated. So I don't know what's going to happen with Palestine and Israel. I do know that it's been as it is for basically as long as I've been alive. It was a debate we impacted in high school when I was debating in high school. So it's not like there's been any improvement over the last 40 years, 50 years. Are things going to change now? Well, Israel doesn't seem to be backing down at all or being reasonable. They seem to be entrenching into more and more extremist positions on the matter. The Palestinians, understandably, are like, hey, they stole all of our land, and how can we be terrorists to try to get it back or something? I get that, but my basic solution is get all the Palestinians and the Israelis and take them all away from the Holy Land and put them into Africa, in different sides of Africa, in a wild animal park, and then put all the wild animals that are in Africa, where the Jews and the Palestinians go, put them in the Holy Land, and open up a Holy Land safari and casino park. No, I don't want to accept any Palestinian refugees. I don't think we should be having. This is one area where I'm sure Trump would probably agree with me. I don't think we should have Islamic people immigrating to the United States because it's not an ideology that's consistent with a free and civil society. It necessarily places the sacred, or at least in practice, maybe not necessarily, but in practice, it places the sacred above the secular in ways that are unacceptable to American democracy. I don't think we should allow such people with such ideologies to come into the country as immigrants. It's a mistake, right? I don't think there's an inherent issue in Islam. I think Islam, as it is currently practiced in the moderate Islamic countries in the world, is it it represents or exemplifies, manifests as pre-enlightenment thinking. This idea that it's okay to go to war over, somebody desecrating an image of your beloved holy guy or whatever. That kind of shit is not acceptable in the modern world. Well, it doesn't matter if Middle Eastern Americans are peaceful and assimilate well if they are actively opposing the primacy of things like free expression and secular law over their interpretation of Islamic law or Sharia, then you're going to have a problem. If as it plays out in the contemporary modern Muslim world is you have a situation where in Egypt, right, huge 80% of the country was in favor of uh, extraditing from the U.S. that filmmaker who insulted Islam so that he could be put to death in Egypt. 80% of the country was in favor of this. So you don't want to and Egypt's considered mostly a moderate Muslim country, right? If America adopted Islam, no thanks. No, thank you. I'll pass on adopting Islam. The thing is, that doesn't even matter, Noah. I'm not worried about ancient history. I'm worried about how contemporary moderate Muslims have a worldview that places their understanding of the sacred above secular law, and that that's not consistent with a free and civil society. Non-barbaric people don't kill cartoonists for drawing pictures of Muhammad, right? That's a very barbaric kind of thing. And Muslims seem extremely sensitive about what they perceive as sacred, to the extent that they don't believe that other people's free expression rights take precedent over their perception of their precious sacred whatever. So, accordingly, I don't think it's a good idea to. I think we should look to and remember the words of Alexis de Tocqueville, who talked about the habits and institutions of democracy, and to, in general, not promote immigration from places that don't share a respect for those same habits and institutions of democracy. Obviously, you can see domestically, Trump's somebody who does not respect those habits and institutions very much, and that's causing a lot of problems. Why is religion so deeply embedded in Muslim culture? I think in part because they've successfully made it such that you can't not be Muslim in those cultures, right? Like atheism in Egypt is a crime. You'll go to jail, maybe even be put to death for it. I don't know. So when you have a society that views secularism as criminal, then you're going to have problems. Because at that point, everything is decided by authority. Whichever religious authority has the most seniority and or, general support is the most correct about something that is open to endless interpretation. That's why Rachel and I are not Muslims.
Yeah, you're not Muslims.
They're just bad at flying. Okay, thanks you. I'm not a big believer in the blaming Muslims for 9/11 thing. I tend to think that something fishy was going on there besides just Islamic terrorists. I'm not so much worried about terrorism, right? I'm worried about the wrong paradigm and the wrong habits of discourse and of individualism versus communitarianism. Communitarianism is not good, and we don't want to invite a lot of communitarians into the country. The group should not take precedence over individual rights. I don't know about that, no. I don't know of any controversy about that.
I don't know anything about that either.
I'm not worried about so-called the Jews as a group, because that's just silly. Rachel would slay in a hijab. Rachel slays in anything.
Thanks.
3, 4, 5, 6. Come on, 7 or 2. 2's fine. I win. I knocked out 3 people. Wow. I'm now in second place of 127. I knocked out 2 people. Did I say 3? I knocked out 2 people. Talk about Europe, Muslim multiculturalism. I think it's a bad idea, but I'm not a European. I'm not a Swedish person who's dealing with a bunch of Islamic immigrants. And if they feel like that's how they're happy with it, then that's their prerogative, I guess. But I'd be much more like Norway, which is much more restrictive on immigration. Norway is not a shithole country, as Trump once said. Well, I agree that one of the problems with Islam is that they create a second-class citizen called women, right? They don't understand women as having equal rights, and they see them as mostly chattel. It seems like Islam is predicated a lot on male insecurity, which is not a good thing to predicate anything on. Yes, I would check instead. Give me a 7. 5, 6, I need a 7. I'm not going to call that just waiting for a 7. That'd be dumb. Go ahead and take it down, mister. I'm still in 3rd place out of 126. That's not bad. So, I don't think it's a good idea to to be so maniacal about like sex stuff. For example, Muslim guys want to get only with married with virgins, right? They think if you had any dicks in you before, you're just a worthless whore.
Mm-hmm.
Is Rachel 100% Italian?
No, I'm not. I'm like a certain percent Czech, Slovak, for what's that one? Polish. And then
That's why you have so much trouble screening light bulbs.
and then also English, Welsh, Scottish, and Northern Irish.
Okay, we are now at the rebuy stage, which means from this point forward in the tournament, there'll be only the number of people in the tournament will only go down. So there's like 123 people in the tournament left right now. I'm number 3 of 123. And from this point forward, that number of 123 will only go down. Until this point, it's continued to go up a little bit because it's near the late okay, thanks, Hugh. Thanks. You are clearly not an actual Muslim. Poker in the front, painter in the rear. That's what it is, buddy cat. So as you see here, I'm hoping to stay alive in this tournament as long as possible, obviously, to win as much money as possible as I could from it. But also because the longer I stay alive in this poker tournament, then the longer I have till I have to go paint. I'll start painting when I bust out. I'm going to try to stay alive as long as possible, obviously. And with number 3 of 123, now that's past the rebuy stage, things would have to go. I should definitely cash, but in the tournament, but things would have to go pretty wrong for me not to cash. And it's just everybody taking a long time right now. Is it sacrilegious to not smoke a cigar, drink bourbon while playing sit poker? I don't smoke cigars nor drink bourbon during any activity, but I will smoke a cigarette. I will take you outside with me and we can go smoke a cigarette. Okay? I'll take you and the mouse along with me outside. We can continue playing poker, have a cigarette, enjoy each other's wonderful company. Wouldn't that be nice? I won't live. I think I should get a beverage, though. Maybe a cerveza. That's Mexican for beer. Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. With the vegetable man and the vegetable band. With the horn that plays like a mariachi band. Okay. Don't lose the mouse unless you want to be lit on fire. Don't lose the mouse. I got the fountain going pretty good in the back, huh? I'm not going to really be able to show it to you till the next break in the tournament, maybe. But We'll see what happens here. All right. I win. I knocked out that guy. Good job, Eric. Another knockout for me. Page 5, number 5, 6 here. I'm going to fold those ones. You know, I've been playing lots of hands like that to good effect, but not this one. It's a beautiful day outside. I don't really need the jacket. Although it does say the temps are to drop. So I guess it's going to get colder. Six, 8 of hearts. I'll play that if I can limp in or call a small raise, maybe. If it folds to me, maybe I'll even come in with a raise. Okay. Somebody raised, so I'll call. All right, I'll call it. Oh, please split. Do we split it? No, he took it. Fuck, he outkicked me by 1. He had 8-7, I had 8-6. Oh my God, how horrible. Well, that's not good. And the kickers played ridiculously. That's what I get for playing that crappy hand. What is he doing playing that crappy hand? At least mine was suited. That's all right. Yeah, you're going to take some hits in any tournament. I've got the stack enough to come back from it. I'm still, at worst, midfield. King 4 of spades. That'll go in the muck, I think. Yeah. Well, I think what I'm going to do is probably end this live stream now, and then maybe resume live stream when we go paint. So, until later, when perhaps we'll have a little bit more draw, I bid you adieu.